Nobi was the kindest person I've ever met. I've yet to meet somebody who is kind just for being kind. You know, no agenda.
Yeah. And then come 2004, you served the guy with divorce papers.
Oh my God, I did. Yeah.
I was like, I thought he was a great guy. I mean, you are like, hey, he's the love of my life. Next chapter, hey, you accept. It's like, what do you mean, girl? What do you mean? Oh, okay.
Nobi saw it coming. I lived with him when he was suffering, and I never imagined that he would be killed.
Yeah.
And how much when it happened, I was as shocked as I was that somebody could actually kill him. And in a way, when I look back, it was okay. It was a build up. Everything, all the machinery had been building up, and he also had been building up in his way in the preparation for his departure. Yes.
So that happens, and then obviously you go into the funeral honoring his wishes, and then you are very vocal about the fact that it was a political assassination. A lot of BS happened around that time, and you end up getting arrested for the murder of your husband.
Yes, I ended up getting arrested. And I believe that even if I had not said a word, even if I had worn the black regalia, covered my head and with my scarf and a huge blanket, I would have ended up being arrested because the people who killed Nobi already had a plan B, a scapegoat.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome to an all-new episode of Looks and Wisdom Sundays with me, Oluchi B. Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Looks and Wisdom Sunday with me, Oluchi B.
Please say the B.
AKA the elusive Pandit Honey. How are you guys feeling? So today I have author and life coach Nokwanda, who is the author of this book, Who Does She Think She Is, to speak to us about this book today. But before we go any further, Molo Mam Nokwanda.
Molo Oluchi.
Njani?
Njani?
Happy birthday, Akizona. Happy birthday, Queen.
Happy birthday. I'm on the 13th and celebrated on yesterday.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
I'm 55.
Oh my God.
Double 5. Lovely celebration. Thank you.
Okay. Unjan God.
Now, right now, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Not in Lele 24 hours, but in Lele 5 hours.
Hi, Sandy, serious Muslim party.
It's groover.
Okay.
to use our language of the 80s, it's Vora.
Hi, Kesana. Okay, again, Vora. So today we are here to speak about your book, Who Does She Think She Is? I literally read this book in like one go. For like 6 hours. I read it and I finished it. And because guys, once I start a book, I can't finish it because I was like, I want to know what's going on. So do you mind introducing yourself to the people as to who you are and what you do?
I am human. Like I'm a human being. And I'm just a wandering person. I don't feel that I can call myself by anything other than that. Just a wandering person. I'm a human being who's just alive and doing what life thinks, whatever life wants of me. In terms of my qualifications, which I understand some people think they're important, maybe they are. I have got a master's degree in medical science from the Stellenbosch University, and I focused on immune correlates of latent tuberculosis, which is a branch of immunology. What do I do right now? I'm a life coach. That's what I want to call myself. And I integrate my therapy, which is a journey method therapy, into the coaching. Yeah, nginolali kodwa ke like at the core.
Okay, we'll tell Likaba on the other meeting I was with. He was like, I boy Queen can't be serious because what do you mean, honey? What do you mean? And by the way, thank you so much for our session on. Do we have our session on Tuesday?
Yes.
We had a session on Tuesday, guys. So we had a session on Tuesday, and I'm going to talk to you after this as to how you helped me, because I saw you had people write as to how much you helped them with your coaching, which I thought was very important, especially for the message that you were giving to us in this book. So before we go any further, I don't want us to dwell too much on your upbringing, because obviously we want to sell the book. We want people to get the book. But what I did want to ask is that obviously your parents were very distinctive. First of all, both your parents are educated. You guys grew up, what we would say, affluent, especially for like the 70s, the 80s. Both your parents were educated. And then you guys used to go, as per any other class, people go to the Eastern Cape first, as Lalini, be with the family, and then after that you guys would like circulate around the coast in KZN. And you make a very strong distinction between both your parents. Looking back now, what was the distinction between your mother and your father?
I can now actually now I have a vision yomti a 3.
Yeah.
And with my father being the roots of that 3.
Yeah.
And my mother being and like the roots that are very busy there anchoring me. But I want to refer to me because I don't know what my siblings' experiences were at home.
Yeah.
And my mother being the rest of the 3, a flourishayo that does all the things that looks like are the things, the important things, you know. That is the picture that's coming to me right now.
Okay, because I wanted to ask this question because later on in the book we do find a lot of things about your relationship with your children. One of the things that stood out for me about what you said about your mother was that she was a controlling human being. She wanted to be in control.
Yes.
And how would you say that affected you as you grew up into your adulthood and having your own children?
First of all, I wanted to be nothing like my mother when I grew up.
Yeah.
And because my mother was not only controlling, she also capitalized on making us do things through fear.
Mm-hmm.
But I turned out to be like her in a way that
that's what I picked up in the
I made my children do things through fear, using different methods, but the outcome was the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, okay, I've become my mother in my way, without my mother's ambition and drive and bulldozing. Yet I was bulldozing in a way. So it was just like an observation that I.
And do you think later on, because you do question yourself around why you actually wanted to get a PhD, do you feel like then at that time it was sort of like a departure between you trying to mimic your mother, whether in shadow or in light?
I think, let me just say, this is my thinking and feeling and experience, that we want to make our parents proud.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, having been an A student as a child, as a baby, you don't even know what an A student was. And then getting those claps, yay!
Yeah.
And then when people come in and this is the one, you know. then I got it that, okay, for me to get love in this family, I must do the right things. Okay. So when my mother started saying she wanted one of us to have PhD, uh, naturally, like it was like, oh, Tita Nam. So, and then when this PhD became elusive in strange ways, I questioned myself, whose PhD is this? And I had to do a journey process that went into my cells, and I discovered that, this was my mother's PhD. That mama call coming there from to go watch those graduations and participate. She instilled in me, without saying, I want you, she said, I wish one of my children. And then I said, oh no, but yeah, I never wanted a PhD. Fine, I'm not doing it. Interestingly, though, recently, I am thinking about pursuing a PhD, and I'm thinking about pursuing it, doing it in my terms.
Yeah.
And it feels easier and it feels like doable, but it's like, maybe I'll do a PhD.
Okay, cool. That's fine. And then looking at your dad, you speak about your dad being sort of like the anti to your mom. He was more of like a free spirit. I like the analogy that you make when you guys used to go to this church and then they used to pray anti-alcohol and then people used to bring the alcohol to the church and your dad was more excited about that because he and the pastor's husband would drink the alcohol. So in terms of loose energy, what did you gain from your father's teaching? Because I also like the fact that he used to sit you guys down about very, very important life lessons.
My father, there's a context to this, right? My father was colored by South African classifications. So
Was it colored?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because his father was born from an Irishman and a Mpondomise woman.
Yeah.
So when you are different, it gives you kind of permission because people are already othering you.
Okay.
It gives you permission to say, okay, man, this is how I want to live my life, and not necessarily question, but so my father had that okay, but I can be anything. Yeah. So he didn't have his father died when he was 12 years old. So we were an experiment of his, and it was like, I would like my children to live and be free and be able to ask questions. And so it was very easy. He just his energy, his beingness. Yeah. He was very firm, a disciplinarian who allowed me to speak the truth. So I could say that I'm going to be a film with friends, and then he would take me to the film. I was 13 years old to the movies, and Pimali Young in the movie. And then I had a boyfriend by that time already. So Pume filming, and a boyfriend, that is there. I'm like, yo. Yeah. But he would never, because he somehow he knew that this is just puppy love. There's nothing happening there.
Okay.
And he was just that person who was also very real, quite real.
Yeah. And also from reading the book, obviously, I don't know, you can correct me. I took it that he was more of the available figure in the family because he seemed to have more stability in his career and was the one who was helping sort of like raise the children because he was there. He taught you how to make stew and all of these things.
Yes, he was the one who didn't take himself serious. Yeah, my mother took herself very, very serious and also drove herself, to a pulp. So emotionally, she knew she was available during a certain period between December and early January. Whereas my father was kind of like, I'm here. Although my mother made him a ho figure. What's your father?
It's the same for all of us.
a ho figure. He was a beautiful ho figure, that you could reach to him and you could ask him, and he was he would break it down to the
to the nitty gritty.
to the nitty gritty, and very unsophisticated man, quite unassuming. So yes, for me it was easier to relate to him, with him, and have conversations when I was younger.
Okay, thanks. Because I wanted to make that parent, distinction and relationship, because I see a lot of that being parallel between you and your husband's relationship later on. So before we get into that, you went to Rhodes first, and then you went to UWC after that in the Western Cape. And I don't know what it was like being a varsity student in the 80s. Can you just tell us, and if there was like a big distinction studying in the Eastern Cape and then going to the Western Cape? Because I grew up in the Western Cape and it was racist.
So leaving Umtata 1987 to go to Rhodes University, for me, was exciting. It was exciting. Well, for a very, very different reason. I was free from my parents.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's why I came to Joburg and left Cape Town, because I was like, I don't want to be around these people.
You know? So this was exciting. But getting there, because I was a science student, at the time I had enrolled for Bachelor of Pharmacy, proved to be overwhelming. Okay, first of all, in 1987, there were very, very few blacks at Rhodes. And then the hostel system there, which was in res, in our house, Hobson House, I don't know if we were more than 20 black students, black female students at Hobson House. I don't think we were more. I mean Hobson Hall, not the house. In the house itself, I think there was about 5 of us or 6 in the whole hall. So it was different interacting with whites for the first time. And the classes were quite overwhelming. I remember in my physics class that I failed first test. I must have gotten something like 30%, I think, or something like that. And then the second test, I failed to something like 17%. And then
you were down bad.
I was going down, girl.
On the low. What do you mean?
I was like, boom. I didn't take off like that Indian. This Indian crash that took seriously. But I didn't take off at all.
Yeah, you were at the bottom.
So this Professor Gruber, I still remember him because that guy hugged me so much that I went on to get an A in physics later on.
Yeah.
He's just like, these students leave my class, kind of like, you're not going to make it.
Okay.
And I stood up and I just like left the class. So that was a rude awakening. Because I came from the Transkei, and I was, as you have said earlier on, I lived a relatively protective, sheltered upbringing. So racism for me, there was like, what's going on? You know, what's really going on here? But that was what struck me. What struck me was the poverty, the levels of poverty.
Okay.
And I would go into town to go get my essentials, and by the time they get like in the middle of time, I don't have a cent. I'll be dishing out this money to these beggars, maybe these young children, and then I would be asking for my money from home until I got a boyfriend who I shared this my deep empathy for and compassion for these people. I was helpless. But I know we're doing the wrong way. We're dealing with the branches and the leaves. Come, join us, and let us do this by going to the root of the problem. So yeah, that is how I experienced roads coming there, and there were a lot of parties. Oh my God, did I party? Yo.
Yeah, that's the reason she had to quit you guys. She was like, I'm doing too much. Let me leave. And you then leave Rhodes because you were failing and you were party animal and you were doing the most. You would then tell your parents you need to go to the Western Cape and start. And the first thing that happens to you is you meet who would be your future husband. How did you even know?
Yeah. So these days, I still remember, I don't know, I think it was a Friday, I'm not sure what day it was, the 25th of January, 1989. Did I all get them now? Because, I mean, my father was always...
Oh,
for the street girl. And the parents already know about this boy. So, I mean, my mother had a car and then we together, fine. So it's happened, and then this guy, I can see him now. I close my eyes. I can see him. He is 1.78, 8.8.
Okay, again, tall, dark, and
No,
handsome.
yellow bone, like yellow bone.
Okay.
So,
Oh my God, that's a yellow bone.
Yellow bone. Then among I don't know what was happening upstairs. Then rolled the white shirts, 6 pockets, khaki Converse, and then speaking this like little voice like,
and you're like, that's my boo.
Ross Stewart kind of voice.
That's my boo.
And I'm like, I didn't know. I just like, that's my husband. And then this thing came from deep down. Like, okay, yeah, that's my husband. I don't remember anything that he said. I don't think I even listened to him. I was just like, that's my husband. I didn't know how I don't know how I knew, and I knew.
Okay. And then obviously it's puppy love. You guys are in and out of the relationship. What was it that made you like him? Because you guys speak about like your strong friendship. Was that one of the main reasons that kept you guys glued together during those up and downs?
Nabi was the kindest person I've ever met. I've yet to meet somebody who is kind just for being kind. No agenda.
Yeah.
So we meet eventually later on, just as I was going to go home. This is for me the most important part that led me to think this guy is my guy.
Okay.
I'm going home. I don't have money. I want to go home. Because I'm crying about I must go home. I must go home. I must go home. And then I have 75 friends for the bus. I think that's quite like Kalanga.
Yes.
So so I took a train to Langa. Then from Langa, I'm going to take this bus. Bus like that's the Transkei. And then he gives me these 5 friends, and I could see it's his last 5 friends. It says, just buy bananas.
Okay.
Big packets of bananas, and they will sustain you right through the trip. So in our ups and downs and friends with benefits, whatever we are, it is what kept us together was his kindness, and he had a way of kind of understanding me or meeting me or of I don't have enough vocabulary. When somebody meets you already been halfway, 3/4 way, he did that for me. That's how I experienced him.
And then obviously, when did you finish your qualification? 1993.
I completed my BSc degree at UWC in 1992.
Okay. And then blank space, and then you guys meet again and you guys get married in 1995.
Yeah. So we were not together in 1993. When I finished 1992, when I finished BSc in 1992, he went to do a postgraduate diploma in education at WITS, and to be with who he thought was his real love, the time. So I gave them the break, and I also got my love to keep me going.
Yeah.
Then we meet in 1993 when I'm going, after I went to go graduate, and then I went to accompany my friend, graduation, posthumous graduation of her grandmother, which was an honorary grade. Then I met him then. We kind of got back together, broke apart again, got back together again for the very last time in December of 1993.
Okay.
Then we got married in 95.
Okay, and obviously there was a gap because you were undergoing your Sangoma training.
Yes, I was. I started undergoing my Sangoma training in December of 1993.
Yeah. Okay. And then what was a question for me when I was reading the book and I wanted to know from your side is, because of your mother, do you think you were career ambitious? Because it's sort of like ambiguous for me. You decided not to work because Nobi didn't wanted to have his career, but at the same time you didn't want to have children. So it was like you want to be domesticated, but you don't want to be that domesticated. What was going through your brain as you guys were in the initial stages of your relationship and these T's and C's coming?
The T&C of children was, I think, I believe that Nabi knew that I had my stand regarding children, because we talk about it like, oh, I don't want children.
Okay.
And maybe he thought, okay, she's crazy.
Yeah.
And my idea of marriage, I was a kind of like a romance, romance novel idea of marriage, or a
the
TV
girl
kind
is on the Delulu side.
Yeah, I was more on the Delulu. I was more on the Delulu side, like my idea of marriage was a Delulu side of marriage. I didn't know what marriage was, So my TNC from my side was like, I never want to see your other things that's happening on the streets.
Yeah.
The money belongs to me. Mm-hmm. And when I wake up in the morning, I don't care if you come in at 5 to 7 and I wake up at 7 o'clock, you must be next to me. Yeah. Those are my 3 conditions.
Yeah.
And you kind of didn't have conditions, like, I'm taking you as you are.
Yeah.
But as soon as we signed that paper on the 27th of October, 1995, she's like, where's the food?
Yeah.
And then I get shocked. Yesterday we had takeaways, and we are still going to continue with this takeaways thing. And he's like, no, we're married now, you're my wife. I'm like, okay, that's piece of paper gives you. So the T's and C's from his side, they came along. They only need to count bases, if I can put it like that. So that was quite hard. As for me, to be honest, I wanted to be a chemical engineer. That's what I really wanted to do. And as a living, I love to play with non-living, non-talking things, if I were to put it like that. So I really love. That's what I wanted to do. But my mother discouraged me. So domesticated. I just want to be. I still want to do what I want to do, whatever it is, even if I don't know what it is from now to the next moment. But when I know I want to do it, not having been constrained. So it was easier to do that when I knew that somebody was doing all the hard work.
Okay. And then did you feel a way about you having to pull back from your corporate career to make the marriage work? Because you were in and out of the corporate space. One day you in, one day you out, one day you in.
That was another TNC that came from Nobi as we got along.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So I volunteered to leave my job in 1995 after I finished my Sangoma. Okay, fine, leaving my job. I want to go and sit with this guy because we're going to get married. So that was my initial stage of leaving my job. He was in KZN at the time. Soon thereafter, 2 months later, I got a job at the technical day in the lab. But it was like literally it was 2 months in, and then he moved to Cape Town, and he was like, we're moving most to Cape Town.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving. We got a job and we're moving. Yes, we're moving. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, we go with the flow. We moved. Then from Cape Town, we moved to Stockholm. Okay, that was nice. That was a great move. I mean, I was not going to ask. Then came back. Then I struggled to find a job in Bloem for a while. And then like, to continue with my PhD, because I was doing a PhD there. And I wanted to, it was fascinating me, I wanted to continue in that stream of immunology. And then I could only get those kind of things outside of the Free State, either in Cape Town or in Joburg. And that's when nobody said, no, you're not going anywhere. If you leave, if you get out of that door, you're gone forever. You're sealing our fate.
Okay. And then when you guys got to Sweden, obviously you had Kanya as your first child. And you do talk about the fact that it was a decision whether or not you guys wanted to have a child. But then when Kanya came, you were happy about that because of the environment you guys were in.
Yeah. We fought a lot about having a child. And then eventually I would say, okay, fine, let's have, okay, I will have one child. And then we tried for a long time. Really tried.
Yeah, you do say, I was like, oh my God, not Kim and Kanye. Oh my God, I'm so tired, guys.
Okay, fine. Do the project. But when we got to Sweden, we had stopped trying. It was like, okay, fine. We never have a child. So what are we going to do? Do we adopt? Do we whatever? And then we just relaxed. So that thing became like something that came, okay, fine, we're here now. Let's just have fun. When Kenya decided to come, and it's just beautiful having something growing inside of me. Like, okay, my God, this is happening. Okay, initially the first few weeks, you wouldn't allow me to take anything other than green apples or sour milk. And then I got to enjoy it, and then I get to enjoy. And when he came, he knew that he was coming to a strange place, to a strange woman. So he was kind and relaxed, calm, no crying, no screaming for no reason, kind of thing. So I got to enjoy that.
Okay, so there's a pattern. So Kanye came as like from a relaxed state, but then Uzandile came unexpected as well.
Yeah, the story behind the story there.
As always.
So Uzandile, so I decided maybe we're not having more children. That's fine. Yes, it's fine. What kind of contraception are we going to use? Condoms. Okay. So that's the contraception that we're using. Until one day I think he was hurtful or whatever. He comes home and he's kind of almost drunk, not really drunk, tipsy, just enough.
So why is that the way Jack? The king of Jack Daniels.
Just enough. So they're like, hey girl, I'm like, okay, where's what? Where's what? Okay, it's okay. Yeah, yes, okay, see that. Yeah, okay, let's have fun. Then after that, we go back to the routine of the condoms. Everybody forgets about what happened. Then 4 months later, I'm like, what's happening? Something's happening or not happening. What's going on? And I was very, very depressed at the time as well. First state was a shock to my system.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I decided to keep quiet and to grow up inside of me, imbibing all my depressed hormones into a young body forming, and until I discovered, okay, I was pregnant, and by that time, the dilemma was like, it's 4 months, so I get to keep the baby.
Okay. And then you do speak about the great working dynamic that you had with Nobi in terms of parenting, like similar to what your father, he was taking care of the children and you get to relax and be yourself, and he used to wake up at night. How did you guys came to that compromise?
It's very interesting now that you say that it's similar to my father, because it was literally similar to my father. When my mother left to go to the University of the North in 1973, my father became the mother, our mother. So Nobi, it kind of was natural. He was very involved from the time Kanya came, because I had a cesarean section. So he's the one who saw Kanya first. He's the one who bonded with him first. So it was kind of natural for him to take that role. The only thing that he didn't want to deal with
was change the nappies.
Yes.
Yeah, we know.
And then one day I left him with Kanya for the whole day. The nappies and the wipes were everywhere in the flat. It was like, you never do this to me again. It just came natural. It was very natural for him. He, honestly, if I were to have children again in my life, I would have them with that guy.
Okay, great. And then come 2004, you served the guy with divorce papers.
Oh my God, I did. Yeah. I didn't know that.
I thought he was a great guy. I mean, you are like, hey, he's the love of my life. Next chapter, hey, you accept. It's like, what do you mean, girl? What do you mean?
And also, I got my T's and C's. I'm
Okay.
And so, we call it girl, but yena ngoku uyabona uyafuna undigugquza besihlalweni, and then but you know, in that way akalothana
azolunga.
No, I was like, take him. In fact, that's so. On this day,
Ben Pangela no by two.
At that time, 2004. Oh yes, we still by two. At the time, when this happened, nobody jumped. No, we were not started working together when the thing that led to the saving happened. So she was working in another department. This girl, wasn't paid. I already knew, but okay, fine, it's another one now. Oh, Kosiam. So this day, I'm just want to test the waters.
Because no, I mean,
why?
So you could smell it.
I know, I always smelled it. But it was like, okay, another one. And I was back in my, why don't we have like 3 nuances so that we can have a stable kind of thing within this thing? Like, oh, no, that's dangerous. You know, wow, because I might fall in love. Oh, okay, but you gotta go. Okay, fine. Anyway, so this one, okay, fine, you're here now, okay. And then just want to test the waters, but in this particular day, he came in from work and like, okay, fine, currently phoning, pick up the phone, hi. And then you're like, hi girl, hi, so, hi, drop the phone, hi boo.
Okay.
Why is Nomda is confirming? Why doesn't she play along? Hey, drop the phone. So anyway, it becomes, this person was on the phone. What does she want? I don't know. She dropped the phone. I don't understand why she dropped the phone. This makes me very curious. And then, let's call. I never used to be a drama queen, but let's call her. Okay. And then, please don't go. But he was already into like nyanyan, ready to go. He could go. He went, and then I was like, you called. Oh, so I called the girl afterwards with my phone. Hey, girl, why did you call Happy here? Because we have a thingy at work, after work. Oh, okay. Fine. And it goes, sorry for the thingy. Why did you drop the phone when I picked up? I thought it dropped. Okay. Then I called the Happy. Yeah, that girl. The Happy girl, come here. Okay, no, my Nokwanda, I can't. You can't or you won't. He said, I can't. You can't or you won't. Yes, I can't. No, where are you? Okay, I took away he is. And he's like, oh, okay, that's why your wife is with my husband. What do you mean? Okay, drop the phone. Then I write to Ugaylo ndiyamthuka ke ngoku on the phone. It was like also the first. I think Debbie was like, we are with this so and so. And I use those, and I was really vulgar. So when people are in love, SMS. I say, look, she's mad. Yeah, babe, she's mad, eh? But girl now decides to take it a step further. She writes to me with her phone.
Okay.
I say, are you mad? What is this shit that you
busy doing with
my boo? What are you saying? I'm like, actually, I am mad.
Yeah.
I'm giving him to you. You deserve each other.
Yeah.
Just tell him that on Monday, Kafiwa. And I wrote to him, I'm like, you've crossed the line.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have written back to me.
Okay.
So I knew that you were together, but you could have played the game a little bit more sophisticated. Mm-hmm. So that's how I served him, because that was for me
a straw.
Yeah, because we had
an agreement.
Agreements.
Okay. Wanting to get to the agreement, in the book you speak about Nobu being this handsome guy, everybody loves Nobu, and you felt like you were this short person, not particularly beautiful. Do you think that played a dynamic already in your relationship when you had met him in 1989, January 25? That sort of like, what I don't want to call it worshipping, but more like, it's the guy, I'm not even supposed to be there in the first place. Do you think that played in you allowing infidelity to take place in your marriage?
No. My first boyfriend came from a polygamous marriage. Okay. And he really brainwashed me into understanding polygamy to be something that is acceptable. So I accepted polygamy, or being not the only one in my first ever relationship.
Okay. No, it's fine. I just wanted to ask and find that out. Okay, now we're going to get to the painful part. Okay, the part was painful. And then obviously 2005 happens, and you do speak strongly about the fact that 2005 in May was sort of like March was sort of like the climax of something that's been taking place for a very long time.
Yes. Nobi saw it coming. Mm-hmm. I lived with him when he was suffering, and I never imagined that he would be killed.
Yeah.
So as much as he was suffering, and the suffering seemed unyielding, and it seemed heavy, very heavy on him, and it was painful for me to watch him suffer in the way he did. And like I said on the other day, it feels like as if watching him die, and dying slowly, becoming a shell of himself, burying himself in alcohol, deep in alcohol, and lost and feeling helpless and didn't know where to run to. And how much when it happened, I was as shocked as I was that somebody could actually kill him. And in a way, when I look back, it was okay. It was a build up. Everything, all the machinery had been building up, and he also had been building up in his way in the preparation for his departure. Yes.
I was thinking it was so ironic that both of you guys didn't see the actual day coming, but on that day you guys were watching the movie Ray about a blind person living their life. I was like, isn't it ironic? And then it happens on the same day. I don't want to tell the whole story because I feel like that's the bulk of the book, and obviously we are trying to promote the book. And so that happens, and then obviously you go into the funeral honoring his wishes, and then you are very vocal about the fact that it was a political assassination. A lot of BS happened around that time, and you end up getting arrested for the murder of your husband?
Yes, I ended up getting arrested. And I believe that even if I had not said a word, even if I had worn the black regalia, covered my head and with my scarf and a huge blanket, I would have ended up being arrested because the people who killed Nobi already had a plan B, a scapegoat.
Yeah. And so life happens for you downhill. I wanted to find out, with everything that was happening around this time, and you and Nobi being in and out of lawyers' offices, trying to make sure that as he moves towards his death, things are sorted out. Why didn't you guys not sort out the money? That was my question when I read the book. I was like, you guys were planning everything down to who's speaking in the speech. Why was the money aspect overlooked?
The money aspect was not overlooked.
Okay.
Other people will say there's an invisible hand. Other people, they will say there's God. Other people, they will say there's a universe, whatever. Nobody wanted for us to have money when he passed away.
Yeah.
He didn't sign the dotted line for that life cover that I don't even know how much it was going to be for, but I know would have kept us going quite well, whatever that means, because his soul, I'm going to use this word soul, his spirit knew that it would work against me as a motive for killing him.
Okay.
That is how I got to understand that, okay, that all the drama that happened and that's finalizing the money part had to do with protecting me and the children in the long run. That's how I see it in hindsight.
Okay. And then let's move to 2013 when, I don't know if I've got the year right.
Yes.
When you say literally from 2005 up to 2013, you were literally on ghost mode. And then only in 2013 did you eventually get to release and to grieve your husband.
That is correct. I don't know how I lived those 8 years. They're a complete blur. Was He's dead, and then I'm faced with arrest, and there are children, there's school fees, there's this and that. I don't remember. They're a blur. I was like a zombie. Like I love the ghost state. Really autopilot, removed from body, removed from self. And then one day I find myself in this funeral, and everything that Nabi had said he didn't want to happen in his funeral was happening in that funeral. Political speech after political speech. And then I was like, and all the qualities of that guy were like Nabi's qualities, but and how they openly said they hated that guy, those people. I'm like, my God, at least they've got guts to say it.
No, it's not someone okay. Isn't someone okay?
Then I find something just burst within me. I don't know how that happened, but I felt, okay, is this Nabi's funeral? Yes, it's Nabi's funeral. So finally I could cry uncontrollably, and let that grief out. Yes.
Okay. And then there's a letter that you wrote to Nobi the year before that.
2012.
2012. And you were speaking about why would he leave you alone with his children that he wanted for himself. And then looking at the relationship that you had with your children, because for me, sort of like the neglect started already on the week of his funeral. And then you don't speak much about the deterioration. We just see the results of the children misbehaving and then kind of going to his shell and then to religion and all of those things. How was the relationship with your children during those ghost years?
They were real ghost years, by the way. First of all, I just did whatever the barest minimum. Take them to school, feed them, take them to school, feed them junk, which was mostly what we ate, McDonald's, and don't know what else. They like McDonald's. What did you do? We went to Spare a lot. Debonair's, Woolies, frozen foods. So they didn't really, they were just Debonair's, whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then emotionally, we tried to do stuff together. We would go bowling. They swam a lot. We do some things together. I'd be there. I tried to be there, but I don't think I was fully there because this is part of me that was I know now was angry, was grieving, but that was even muted, so it couldn't be expressed. It was like underneath.
Yeah.
So, and then, okay, fine. There are two sections to this. The 2007, 8, 9, 10 years were kind of like goodish years.
Yeah.
Because I got employed.
Yeah.
So, and I was in quite a well-paying job.
Yeah.
So they could get these other things, these nice other things at the time that children their age, their peers got.
Yeah.
That I could buy their love. I could also be there, but I was also working quite hard.
Yeah.
So and then when they were not okay, it was easy for me to notice and take them for therapy. But I can only say they are the best people to say how they experience a relationship.
Okay.
But from my side, even though I know that there was neglect, because I don't remember the intimacy. I'm not a real hugger or a toucher.
Yeah.
But maybe if I was healthier emotionally, I would have given more of that mother, father thing.
Yeah.
It was just overwhelming for me.
Do you feel like you outsourced the emotional well-being to like the therapy? Because you did that a lot, even for yourself. Like you've been on therapy since forever. So do you feel like, and then in replacement on the good years where you could provide a lot of that emotional, well-being was outsourced to like a therapist?
I think I feel that I forgot that they were children.
Okay.
I forced them to become adults and take responsibility. And okay, you're not okay, go talk about it and then figure out for yourself how that looks like.
Exactly. And in that, I've picked up there was like a big distinction between how you treated Kanya and Uzandile. I feel like you sort of like mirrored your experience with Kanya in terms of allowing him to be, especially because he was like an easy child. And then some of the attention was to the younger sibling because she was more outspoken, like her father type of.
That is correct. Ukanya still is more of the feeling type. She's going to kind of like check out if you are available or not. And then if you're not responsive in that moment, it's going to let you be.
Okay.
Yet Zandile is going to not check out, it's going to make you become available.
Yeah.
And, want you to do things and be there. So then I would have to do it. So in a way, I believe that Kanya may have suffered because of that. Because I would not even be aware that he's looking for me, he's looking for my attention. And Zandile may also have suffered because, grabbing for attention, not necessarily a very healthy way of receiving attention.
Yeah. And I wanted to find out, because it's not on the book, did you guys ever sit down as the family, as like the three of you guys, to just speak about what happened? Or was it just like touch and go? Like it happened, everybody's gonna figure out their father passed away, that's it.
First of all, I heard that later on in their lives that they didn't even know what happened. They saw it on TV.
Oh.
Nobody told them before. And I always ask myself why they ate them the way they did, and like ate as if the food is like there's been in time in their lives when there was no food.
Yeah.
And until I realized when we talk from time to time that during that week of their father's death, nobody cared for them. They would be hungry. So then, okay, that's why they always like, there's going to be war situation. Then they would even open the pantry like to check. We've got enough food. Okay, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
She didn't know where it came from, but she's always anxious about whether we have food or not, opening the fridge to check if we've got food or not. And it came from that time when after their father passed. So we didn't have a kind of a formal sit down, but I would tell them, I don't know what you're going through, guys.
Yeah.
That's why I outsourced that part. Because I was like, my father passed away when I was 37 years old.
Yeah.
My mother, when I was 30, I don't know what you're going through. Mm-hmm. I cannot imagine. I don't want to patronize you. So rather, let's go talk about this to somebody who's going to resource you.
Okay. And then you talk about then after your husband's passed away, after the trial, you guys eventually did win and you guys were acquitted for the alleged murder. When you guys were down bad, you guys are back in Bloom and you guys are staying in the garage. And how was that dynamic as a family?
It is a part that I so much want to forget.
Okay, that's fine.
Because that year, I almost unalived me in so many ways, many times, and us. Generally, Zandle and Kenya were generally happy children. To be honest, their predisposition to life is to be happy, is to be alive, is to be doing stuff. So the dynamic of having little, I learned to eat pap with cabbage then. Mm-hmm. I know this sounds very bougie.
Well, you did grow up and then you got married to a guy. And so that time we're not going to talk about the unaliving because we want people to bind with the book, but you had attempts of unaliving everybody in the family and then oftentimes unaliving yourself. And looking back now, when you got that job offer in Pretoria and you didn't take the children, why didn't you take the children with?
The schools were already open. And I'm terrified of Gauteng. Bloemfontein was a safe space. My sister was there. I wanted to first get a sense of the place and then to find good schools and then bring them up.
Okay. No, that's good. So we're not going to go into Zandile's situation because I feel like everybody should read the book and get into that. We did cover the children and their suffering, and she ultimately didn't unalive herself. But you speak about the fact that it happened at a better time than when your husband has passed away. Why do you say that? Not that the unaliving was good, but you were in a better space.
The unaliving is good. I mean, whatever a person decides to do for themselves is good.
Yeah.
She was in pain, so that's a route she chose out of pain. The reason I say it happened at a good time for me is because I had already worked with myself.
Okay.
A lot internally, a lot of therapy, a lot of understanding of how I process. So it took me 10 months to overcome Zandile's sudden death, whereas it took me 11 years to overcome her father's death.
Okay.
So I already had tools, I already knew that if I don't face this and just sit with the pain of it and just allow it to be felt instead of running away and having a plastic smile, I would heal faster.
Okay. Can you then tell us about your healing journey? Because it starts in Bloemfontein already, like 5 years before Zandile's unaliving. What was it about the journeys? Is it the journeys method that attracted you, and how did you get out of the whole strife of your entire existence up until that point?
So the journey method is a method that bypasses the cognitive pathways. It goes into the cells. Our bodies carry memories. Whatever it goes through is in our bodies. Is in our. So before all the trauma that came into my life, I had trauma in my life. Trauma from my mother's arrest, trauma from just being me, different, short and tiny.
You mentioned weird like 5 times in the book.
Really, 5? Did you count?
Yeah, because I was like, you, even the other girl that you coached said you were weird. I was like, okay.
So yes, and then just being me was traumatic, and not being able to be in control of my emotions, not knowing why am I like this, why am I like that, why do I see things, why do I dream things, why do I know things I'm not supposed to know. So the journey method therapy opened a whole universe for me to discover that within me, inside of me, there lies a God that can tell me what is wrong within me. I don't need anything else. I don't need anything else. My body knows what's wrong with me. So that was like what's most powerful about the journey method. Also, the journey method also, through the journey method, that God within me can tell me what to do.
Yep.
How tomorrow is going to look like for me, that is the power that it gave to me, and for me, it's helped me to know that, well, everybody here has come to do their own thing. So I could choose to live in pain, or I could choose to live in joy. And the pain within my body, there's a process to release it.
Okay.
So that is a gift that I received from that method. And also, it was through this method that I healed all the anger and the pain and the grief and the anguish and the loss, the material losses that I lost.
Yeah.
So that's how it helped me. And then it's helping me even today. It's helping me every day because I receive a process at least once a month when I'm not working hard enough on myself. Because there's not only my trauma, there's my great-grandparents' trauma, there's my great-great-great-grandparents' trauma that lives in me.
And what was the most difficult knowing or conjuring that you discovered about yourself from the journeys method?
It's the fact that I'm responsible for everything. That's the most scary part. I mean, that my life is in my hands, literally. Whatever I choose to do or not to do, it's me.
Yeah.
There's nobody else to blame. Blaming is a game. Being a victim is a game. Just, not when you're not wanting to face your reality and stand in your power. And in that, I still discovered that, this is why I remain poor. Because I still have limiting beliefs about myself. I still have limiting beliefs about what it means. I still have attached meaning. Okay, if I attain material goods, this is what I think would happen, or this is how I see. Or so I still have work to do. This is the thing. And remaining under the lampshade, remaining small and shrunk and not going out there is my choice. That is the thing that scares me the most about the journey, which is actually which is the same thing that empowers me most about the journey.
Okay. And then one thing that I was shocked about is ego in suffering. I was like, what do you mean you had egos that you had to overcome? And those egos were allowing you to stay in the suffering side of life. What's ego even? I thought ego was like pampas behavior, like when you got it all.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of jargon. And ego is an outer self. It's it's something that comes and takes over. Now there's something called the Enneagram. It's got 9 types, 27 types in total, but it's just saying 9 for now. So everybody is motivated by something.
Okay.
Motivated by, for example, mine is type 7, is fear of feelings. So the way I'm built, my ego is to run away from responsibility, which if you're hearing me and you can find out, oh, okay, so she didn't want to work, she didn't want children. That's
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah.
Run away from responsibility. You want to have options open all the time. What are my options? What are my options? And then feeling stuck is not having options. I have one job. I only can come here today. No, easily bored. So coming back to your question, my ego type is, okay, then there's pain. No, we don't feel pain. We don't feel pain at all. It's uncomfortable. Ha 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 ha
Yeah.
ha ha. Running away from pain.
Okay.
That is what it is. Even grief. We don't want to confront that this person is no longer here and what it means for them no longer here. What do you do instead? You get busy, do other things. You coming up like when people see this strong person, yet this person is disconnected. They don't even know what is really going on. So that is the ego game.
Okay. And then what would you say to someone who is you in 2013? Well, 2011, 2012, when you were writing those angry letters to your husband.
What would I say?
To someone who is literally you in 2012, who's
Right
in
now.
this dark place, dark pit.
When they say you're in a dark pit, boo, befriend yourself.
Yeah.
Befriend yourself. Be kind to yourself. Treat yourself as you would your best friend. What would you do to your best friend? What would you say to them? And then say that to yourself.
Okay.
How will you take care of your best friend? And then whatever answer comes out, do that for yourself. Befriend yourself.
Okay. Thanks. I'm done with my questions. Is there anything that you want to say before we get to where we can get the book, blah, blah?
Life is a journey. Life is a journey, and none of us have a script. This befriending self is not just a concept. For me, it's kind of become a religion. What does it mean? It means that I'm like, okay, is this good for me to be here now today? Yes. Do I want to do it still? Yes. Checking in with yourself. Did I do well? Well, by my side, that's yes. Did I, just being there for yourself. Please find a way to be there for yourself. the way I'm here for myself is not going to be the same way Oluchi is for themselves. And I know we tend to judge ourselves. I judge myself a lot. Just become aware. Oh, judging you, girl, now. Okay, I'm judging you now. It's all right. So that you can become softer and more of you can become available, not just for you, but for the people that you came here to be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. And I like what you say at the end of the book. It says here, ultimately, this is when you're talking about the brand new world for yourself. It says here, ultimately, the brand new world will have individuals in pursuit of joy and meaning in life, even in the face of hardships and tragedy, because it is possible to find fulfillment and purpose, no matter the challenges that people face. I love that. I even highlight. This is the only highlight I had in the book.
Thank
So
you,
where can we
Oluchi.
get this wonderful book of yours? You do the promo. We must get Kanye to do because he's very good at selling shit.
As long as the money will come to me, Kanya can promote the book.
Yes, okay.
Get the book from me, Nokwanda Ngombane, at gmail.com. Send me an email, get the book. I'll send it to you. If you're in South Africa, you'll get it for $3.50 if I must send it to you. But if you fetch it, you'll get it for $2.80.
Okay. And then what are your socials? I did tag you on my IG, but I know you said you're not on Instagram. But where can, in terms of social media, find you?
Well, I'm not young, so you'll find me on Facebook. Boring, I know. And X, I'm just there on X, but I'm not there on X because it overwhelms me. I am on Instagram as well. Don't even know my handle. I think
It's Ngombane Nokwanda.
yeah. Yeah, yes, Ngombane Ngombane. I'm on Instagram, but I must get a body double to do that for me.
Okay. All right. No problem. So we find the book at Nokwanda Ngombane at gmail.com.
Yes.
Nokwanda Ngombane on Facebook.
Yes.
And Ngombane Nokwanda on Instagram. And then I think that's it. We have no further information to give to the masses. Do comment, do subscribe, and do get the book. There's a lot of tea in this book. I love reading other people's stories. And thank you, Queen, for writing this book. It's very important for us to know so we can be aware and we can grow to be better individuals.
Thank you for receiving this book in the way you have, Oluchi.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Enkosi